So today I want to talk to you guys about something that the Lord really wanted me to know. And he told me this a couple days ago. See, all my life, I have kind of already known that God always took care of me, right? And it's something that I wouldn't really talk about often because I would feel guilty. And that's kind of what the whole thing is about. For a long time, I mean, even up until recently, I would feel kind of bad for talking too much about how God has favored me in my life. Like even when I wasn't a believer, even when I was out doing the exact opposite, like not even just being out in the world, but like I was blaspheming him, I was hating him, like all of that stuff, like I was against him at one point in my life. And looking back, I can see that his favor was still in my life. I could still see his protection, his love, his blessings, and it's something that I wrestled with a lot, thinking like, Lord, why, why? Like, I know I don't deserve these things. I know I don't deserve for you to have done that for me, especially when I was so against you at those, like in that season of my life, right? In that time period. And it's something that I would feel bad about, I would be like, man, does God have favorites? Because I would feel very bad. Like I would think things like, well, I don't like, why doesn't someone else get what I get? Like, why doesn't someone else, like, why don't you take care of them the way that you take care of me, right? Like I would think those things, but I would never talk to him about it because I would feel so ashamed. I would feel so guilty. I would feel like it was unfair. But I knew the scripture that says that there's no favoritism with the Lord, right? Like he doesn't show favoritism. So that's something I kind of didn't understand, and it's something that I wrestled with for a little bit. So I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't talk about, I would talk about like major things like, dude, look, this happened to encourage somebody, right? But like, there were just certain things in my life that I wouldn't really talk about, which is this, right? Like in my everyday, I would see things, I would feel things, I would know things. I would just feel so protected. I would feel like, and that's the part I wouldn't talk about because it would make me feel bad that like, well, what if someone else doesn't have that? What if like, I feel like a favorite? I would think like, God, I feel like I'm your favorite, or like not the only one, but like one of your favorites, right? And then I would hear other people talk about how like, oh, God has favorites and I'm clearly not one of them. And I would feel very bad about that. I would feel like, dude, like that's not fair, But it wasn't until, it wasn't until a couple days ago that the Lord really just reconciled that with me, and he really like showed me. But he technically already told me a year ago. So a year ago, actually almost 2 years now, wow. I was in the hospital, and I'll talk about that in another video, but this is my one and only time that I had a full-blown vision with the Lord, like where I was out of my body. I was afraid because I'd never had like a surgery or a procedure, nothing like that. And this was my first time going through that. So I was like, dude, this is kind of scary. So when all the doctors and the nurses and whatever, they all left the room, I was by myself. They were getting all the stuff ready to come in. I was just like, Lord, just be with me. So then the doctor and the nurses, everybody came back in. They started the procedure and everything. And I got zoomed out of my body. I was out, right? I thought I was dead. Again, I'll talk about the whole thing in another video. But the point I'm trying to make is right before I came back, I didn't want to come back because I was like, dude, this is the best. Like being in his presence like that was just the best. I was like, there's nothing better than this. So I was crying when I knew I was going to come back to my body. I was crying and I was throwing a fit like a little kid, saying, why do I need to go back? Why do I need to go back? And then he just quieted everything. And he told me, you're not the only one that I love this much. And then I came back. But it didn't click that day. It clicked that like, okay, I'm here because I got to share God's love, right? If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have to be here. That's what I understood, which is true, right? That was one aspect. But there's always different levels. There's always a deeper level, right? With the Lord. Like when you dig deeper, there's more than just a surface level of what he's telling you. And it wasn't until a couple days ago that he revealed to me that there are no favorites. Right? Going back to how talking about how I would feel guilty about how favored I feel and all of this, how I feel like God's favorite. He basically revealed to me, yeah, that's how I feel with all of my children. Like, don't ever, here, you know what? I took some notes because I was bawling my eyes out when he was telling me this. So here's what I put. God has always blessed me. God has always protected me. God has always shown me favor. Satan tried making me feel guilty for being favored. Satan made me believe God favored me more than others, therefore God isn't fair. But when God met with me, he told me, you're not the only one I love this much. Now I had a choice. Who is lying and who is telling the truth? Well, we know Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And the Bible calls Satan the father of lies. So now it's my duty to share God's love and favor. And the last part, it's for me because I struggled with this, but now I share it with you guys. Don't ever be ashamed or embarrassed of your Father's love. Never. He wants you to share it. He wants us to share what God has given us, the love, the favor. Share it. We need to share that, whether in word, like share what God's done, right? Like tell our testimony, tell what God's done for us, tell of his goodness, right? Or share of the blessings that he's given you, whether it's monetary, whether it's like money, whether it's things, whether it's time, whether it's whatever it is. Like we need to share. We are not a treasure chest. We are just a vessel for the treasure to flow through us to the rest, right? So don't ever be ashamed of your Father's love. Don't ever be embarrassed of your Father's love. So I hope this was encouraging for you guys. I hope this really hit your heart, and to know that God really loves you and that you are his favorite, right? Like we're all his favorites. We are all favored, right? So I hope this blessed you guys, and I hope that you guys can walk and see the blessings in your life every day, because they're always there, right? That's another thing he told me, that, you know, sometimes people just are not paying as much attention, right? It's just what it is. Like, it's not like I'm not like talking down on those people. If anything, it should be uplifting that if you haven't been paying attention to the blessings, it's time to look, because they're there. He's always blessing us. So once again, I hope this blessed you guys, and God bless the rest of your day. And if you like the t-shirt, go ahead, pick one up in the description and support the channel. I'd really appreciate that. And don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.